As mi compa Miguel said, my name is Kiki Ochoa from San Diego, the San Diego chapter of ARRE, and I'm honored to introduce a student at Lincoln High School who has organized several community events over the past 2 years. She was a founder of SIA, which is Students in Action, helped plan rallies and sit-ins against the cuts in education in the year of 2008. She is a member of MECHA and is also the founder and president of ARSO, the African Revolutionary Student Organization on the Lincoln High School campus. She was intended to speak and present at the International Democratic Uhuru Movement's convention last fall. She works tirelessly with her comrades from Somos Raza, the Project of Unión del Barrio, and all other allies who struggle for the liberation of all oppressed peoples. Lastly, this young lady was also instrumental in the strategic demilitarization of San Diego City schools. She played an integral role within the Educational Arms Coalition in San Diego that eliminated weapons trainings by banning gun ranges in the entire San Diego Unified School District on February 10th. She is only in the 10th grade and currently holds a 4.1 GPA. A true revolutionary student who, in the words of Assata Shakur, has nothing to lose but her chains. It is a great honor to present to you my comrade, Sakeenah Shabbaz.
I would like to thank Adi for having me here today. It really is an honor to speak in front of all these beautiful people and all my comrades. Gracias por invitarme, es un gran honor. We have been brought here today to further the building of our communities, not just general welfare, but to build ones that are free of the oppression that exists in and around them in a state for those who live there. We people of color have been stripped of our native roots and had them replaced with the colonized beliefs of those who are foolishly driven by greed, money, and the power of false dominance. There is a place where you can be taught about this history of your people and those who came before you, but that education is denied to you and I. Instead, that place is used to keep us mentally chained. It teaches us that we have no part in history. It reminds us that our leaders are dead and gone and that we should worship those who killed them. We are not given the respect that we deserve as our people, and we are told that our ancestors were nothing but slaves and savages. This place that I am describing is called school, but it's better described as a place of containment where the ideas of the oppressor are freely welcomed and the respect and culture of their students are swept underneath the blue carpet in the classroom. Because places like this exist, another barrier is put up that will keep us from our liberation as a people and keep us from knowing the truth about those who tell lies about us. But because many of us are gathered here today in this very place, we are slowly taking the steps to exposing this colonial education that we as students are forced to receive. By exposing it and changing it to better fit the needs of the students, we will essentially contribute to the mental and physical freedom of our people and will be a step closer to our liberation. Within this institution that we call school, there mainly exists the student and the teacher. The education that we as students are forced to receive is a colonial education that has been passed down throughout the years with the liar to added here or there. This education, especially in history classes, can be proven to perpetuate racism and self-hatred. I'd like to share a quick story about my third period world history class at Lincoln High School, and this is a perfect example of how racism is perpetuated in our education. My teacher and I got into a discussion about the imperialism and colonialism that took place in Africa after the Industrial Revolution. And after stating my point about how African people were doing just fine on their land and how they were highly developed politically and economically, my teacher, without any remorse, continued by stating that Anglo-Saxons were the dominant race and that they were more advanced than any other race that existed.
What?
Stating this as if she were a woman of European descent, she tried to justify the enslavement, rape, torture, theft, and colonization of our African people because they were white. And to top it off, she is an African teacher. This is proof that the education that is shoved down our throats is racist and caters to the European race. And what is more blatant is that most teachers are just as colonized, if not more, than the students they are teaching. How can we build this community that we strive for if the teachers, especially amongst the scholars, are treating us everything opposite of what we need to make that community a reality? Just as students, Teachers need to educate themselves outside of the classroom because they have a responsibility to give us the proper education that we deserve. And they can't do that by completely being bound to the California standards. The curriculum that is served in the classroom does not coincide with what we need to make that community a reality. We should be taught a true history, our history. We need to learn about what was taken from us, what is still denied to us, and what is rightfully ours. Our land, our culture, traditions, and the power that was rightfully bestowed upon our people. As students, we are taught many times that we do not have a say or voice in what we want. And other times we are told that the barriers that have been set in front of us cannot hold us down. We have to break down those barriers and become active members in our communities because it is the place where we live. It is the place where we sleep at night and the place we enter right when we leave school. The community is one of the places that we are able to see change over time, as we would see change in a younger sister or brother. Depending on what those changes may be or look like would depend on what we need to do as members of our community to strengthen that change or make it cease to exist. The community needs students to succeed in any way possible and make great things out of ourselves because the community depends on it so that we can prosper. But to do so, we need you, the teachers, to help us. We need you to be involved with us on a level that allows us to see you as more than puppets of the institution. The perception of a teacher through a student's eyes should not be one that is black and white. It should be in full color and represent the beauty that a teacher can hold. We need teachers to think outside of the box we call the colonial educational system. A teacher's work isn't only to be done in the classroom because some matters cannot be dealt with in that space and time. But students need to know that you are not only available for them during the hours of 7:30 to 3 o'clock. We as students need to know that you understand or that you are at least trying to understand what we experience in our day-to-day lives. And that these experiences affect how we learn. Both teachers and students are victims of the same system. So if we can all come to terms with the oppression that we once faced or that we still do face, that will hopefully burn the barriers between teachers and students. One of the biggest problems that we face as students in our high school is that teachers are not very involved with our activism. There are very few teachers who will actually take their own personal time to help us protest an issue that we feel is very close to us or affects us as students. Teachers rarely come to our general meetings that we have for our student organizations every week. By simply taking the time to come to our meetings will not only show that they have an interest in our work, but will also contribute to that second education that a teacher should have. Last school year, California faced budget cuts, and one of the main places they cut were schools, and within schools are educational programs and teachers. And during that time, I had never seen teachers so pumped up and active to keep their jobs. They became real advocates for education, and proving that were the many protests that took place throughout the state to help save their jobs, and in some way, it was successful. But who were the people that were helping them save their jobs? Who were the people who fought just as hard as them to help them keep their jobs? Because they didn't want an education that would be made harder than what it already was. It was the students. It was us. It connects to the buildings of our communities because at that time, various groups were put together by students to defend teachers in our education. A lot of the protests actually took place in the communities, so that showed our active involvement. But after the pink slips were given out, teachers, where did you go? Some teachers didn't even get their jobs back, but for those of you who did, why did the protesting stop? Of course, you have to teach now and you have staff meetings, but it all seemed as if it were just a phase that just passed, and this March, the same thing will happen again. It is already happening right here in this Los Angeles County. The point I'm trying to prove is that teacher activism or involvement can not only happen when the main problem affects you. Teachers face losing their jobs, but as students, but us students, mainly in low-performing areas, we face getting recruited into the military almost every day. We are taught how to shoot guns. We get sniffed by police officers. We are looked at as the embarrassments of the school district. And when we really try hard to change these things, most of the time we don't even have you by our side to do so. This community that we strive for cannot exist unless the teachers take more of an interest in the issues of the students that they are teaching. If we are constantly being recruited to fight an unjust war by the military, then we won't be able to build our communities because we will probably be elsewhere destroying one. If we are being searched by police dogs, that proves that the school does not trust us. And if teachers do not speak up about it, they are either one of three options: supporting the search, don't care about the search, or are too afraid to speak up about it. Teachers, a lot of times, do not have a voice because they are at risk of losing their jobs or not having tenure at the end of the year. But teachers, when you do have a voice, use some of it to defend the students because we defended you when you needed it. As I had mentioned before, the respect and the culture of the students has been disregarded and replaced with something not of their own, and is therefore colonial. To teachers, I think that there has been a misconception of what it means to respect the person, in this case, the students you teach and have taught. To build a community, respect is key, because if someone feels disrespected, then they might not want to participate in the building of that community. Within the communities that we are trying to make better, there are different gangs, and depending on if they feel respected, might they remain calm or be after one another. The police, depending on if they feel respected, do they do as they say they do, protect and serve. Mutual respect has to exist amongst the student and the teacher. Over the years, it has been very easy for teachers to disrespect the student's culture and overall identity. The teachers probably do not see it as disrespecting the student because they are just following the standards. The simplest form of disrespecting the student and that student's entire race is through practices and lessons that promote hegemony. Hegemony is a concept where the dominant group imposes their lives, their culture, their values onto the masses with the consent of the people. How do they get that consent? Through hidden messages that tell us that the reference of black is always bad and the reference of white is always good. That message has been sent to us ever since we first laid eyes on TV and saw the blue-haired, blonde-eyed Disney princesses, but as job throughout our education. This is almost something that is unavoidable because the system has made it so that it's all around us, and that it eventually becomes accepted by those who are being held victim by the opinion that has been imposed upon the world. I believe that in some ways teachers have a small bit of control over the curriculum they teach, mainly in regards to the books we read. If that is so, give us a book other than Shakespeare or Hamlet, because a lot of times teachers complain that we don't speak proper English and that our grammar is off. Well, neither does Shakespeare. Another thing that goes on is that we are taught about the Holocaust. The way the school system refers to this Holocaust is as if many other atrocities like this have never occurred throughout history. The untold story of the killing, murdering, and near extinction of the Native American race on this land is one of the greatest atrocities in American history. It is not recognized by the institutions we attend. Not because one is worse than the other, but the people who write the books for the school system fail to recognize this atrocity because it could be their ancestors who are responsible for this. The amount of Africans who died in the diaspora is a massive amount that can be defined as a Holocaust or genocide, but is never recognized as one. Why is it that our people who have historically gone through thousands of changes, due to the idiotic mentality of our oppressor, have been not recognized by the school system? When it comes to the building of something that was taken away from us, like our people, our culture, traditions, and land, as in the case of La Raza, who are indigenous to this continent, we need to know whom the finger can be pointed at for not having that community that we strive for that did once exist. When we get this knowledge on our own, we can get this knowledge on our own, but when the school starts talking about oppression and the mass murder of the people because of foolish beliefs and followers, then they need to talk about the genocide that happened here on native soil, on African soil, on Asian soil, and traditions that have died off in the process. If you want to read on the topic of genocide, read the book First They Killed My Father by Lung Ung, and that'll give you a good perspective of just about how 3/5 of the Cambodian race was wiped off the face of the earth. So to kind of refresh and bring it back, the curriculum in some of the classes can be shown from many perspectives when it refers to oppression and genocides that have happened throughout time. Many people who have come out of our communities and share the same experiences as we have books that are just as good, if not better, than the material we read in some of our classes. Having knowledge of situations that have brought us here today can help us move forward in the building of our communities and to restore what was once present. Lastly, I feel the need to address one last issue, a student's right to a higher education. We as students deserve and have the right to pursue higher education regardless of our race, gender, nationality, or any other category that has been used against somebody to keep them from getting that education. There are some teachers out there who absolutely care for the education of each and every one of their students. And there are some teachers who are the exact opposite and only care about the students who they think are worthy or are a good investment. Teachers should be encouraging students not only to graduate from high school, but to go on to college as well. Some arguments may be that we have counselors to help us with that, but sometimes that is not the reality. Sometimes our counselors are very incompetent, so we need teachers to fill that void. Another issue that some students face is being denied financial assistance by the government because they are not citizens of this nation, which puts a huge group of students from our communities at a roadblock. In my high school, I have many comrades and peers who have put forth so much dedication and effort in building our communities. Not only are they taking care of the community, but they are taking care of their education that will help them get into a college. But these students I speak of do not have the same opportunity as I do. I, as a person of African descent, can go to college only because I was brought to this land without my consent. I am the immigrant on this land, but what does not make sense is that my comrades, who are natives, are being denied the opportunity for higher education. They are denied the assistance by the government, who took the land away from them. All of the encouragement in the world can be given to my comrades and other students who have the same situation. But education has had a price tag put on it by the system. Thanks to organizations like ADE, the stress of dealing with that price tag is reduced. As stated before, every student deserves and has the right to pursue higher education. Some students already have it down and they know they will go to college and do something in life, and they know that they're coming back because the community needs them. But some of us honestly feel that some teachers don't give a damn whether we pass or fail. So teachers, we need you to help us get that education because the community depends on it. We need you to use what you learned in college and that second education to make sure that we get to college and come back and use what we gained to make our communities a better place to live and prosper. Teachers have it down for what they need to do. So students, we need to have self-determination. Key word, self. Not in the sense that we get out there and get our own and do our own thing and only worry about ourselves, but really have it inside of us to really want to make where we live a better place while doing it with the many minds of community members. We have to be relentless in getting this education because the oppressor is relentless and will never stop trying to hold us back. We have to strive to become those active members in our communities because in the end, when all the fighting, working, studying, and educating of our people turns into that community that is free of oppression and hatred, then that will be the biggest victory that we have achieved as a people altogether. And again, I would like to give thanks to the Association of Raza Educators for having me here today. We cannot stop the building of this community because everybody depends on it.